Hey, it's Sri here, and in today's video I'm going to talk you through a few really important steps that you need to take right now if you want to end the suffering in your marriage. Now I know that if you're watching this video, the pain that you're going through right now is probably unbearable at times, and it's just every day this constant sucker punch inside about how awful the situation is, and every day is this constant struggle. And I want you to know that you're not alone. So many of my clients who have come through my program have been through the same sort of trials and tribulations that you're going through right now, who have experienced that sort of pain at such a deep level, but have been able to get out of it, have been able to heal, to transform, and to create those proper shifts on the inside. So make sure you watch this entire video so that you can start to really apply the steps that I'm talking about and really get the results that people like Laurie, people like Angie, Monique, Wendy, all these incredible women who have created massive shifts in their lives have done as well. And you can do the same. So make sure you watch this entire video, and I'll walk you through some really important steps you can take right now. Make sure you hit that subscribe button below and click on that bell notification as well, so every week you get access to my latest videos where I talk you through a little bit more about male psychology and marriages, or I talk you through a little bit about how to create healing from the inside, and just some practical strategies that you can start to use in order to move your marriage forward and really take it to that next level. Because here's the thing, I know that you are going through an intense amount of pain, and the chances are you're going to be in this position where you want to do everything in your power to want to save your marriage. Like, I get that. There's no doubt about it in my mind that there is going to be a big part of you. Or you're going to be in a place where you're like, look, I don't know anymore. The pain is too tough. You're going to want to escape potentially. And it's like there's a part of you that wants to save the marriage, but there's a part of you that's like, what's the point? Is it really worth it? And you're not sure. But the challenge is that even if you're on the other camp where you don't really know if you do want to, because it's often that individuals are not in that place 100%. They're sort of somewhat in that camp, but they're also kind of in this camp over here, which is that they really want to save it. So therefore, they're never going to really put their energy into one path. They're not going to be able to create the shifts that they need to, because they're sort of neither here nor there, and that's not a good place for you to be in. And that's why it's so important that we have to do the healing internally first. Now, yes, I get it. That's not the natural instinct. Our natural instinct is not to say, all right, well, I want to work on me and then I'll get around to the marriage. But it's not about that. You can do these things simultaneously, but the healing has to be done internally first. It just has to. And I see it time and time again when people don't go down that path. And then they just focus on, communication, or focus on male psychology, or focus on just begging and pleading, or whether they apply no contact, or whatever it is, and they're not getting the results that they want. And like anything in life, whether it's our business, whether it's our health, whether it's our relationships, we have to heal internally first. It's just the way it is. So my hope is that you have one little mustard seed of belief in what I'm saying here. Because if you can do that and you can create those shifts from the inside, then things will shift in terms of your external circumstances. They will shift in terms of your marriage. And they're either going to take you to a place where your marriage is going to soar to new heights, or you're going to get to a place where you realize, you know what? This is actually not the right thing for me. Now, I know a lot of you are sitting there going, oh man, I don't even want to go down that path. That's too scary. I don't want to affect my family. And I get it. I so get it. Because everyone logically knows that they want short-term pain for long-term pleasure. But here's the issue. Emotionally, and in terms of what our ego wants, it's never going to allow you to stay and go down that path. It's always going to force you to stay in this current path that you're on now, because that's how the mind works. That's how the brain works. So I'm going to talk you through 4 really important steps that you want to take right now in order to really create some shifts internally within you. And then with that foundation, it can then help you to move forward in terms of transforming your situation into something that, either turns into a magical marriage, or where you walk away and you part ways with your husband and you get to a place where you're like at peace in the long run. So the first point I wanted to make here is I want you to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Now you might be sitting there going like, what the hell are you talking about? You want me to feel comfortable being like uncomfortable? You want me to feel good about feeling crappy? No. See, here's the thing. One of the biggest problems that we all face as human beings is that we think we shouldn't be having any issues. Right? We always want to live in this happy, loving place all the time, 24/7. But it doesn't exist. You know, throughout the history of the world, there's always been problems. There's always been issues. Every human being on this planet has had issues of some sort. That's always going to happen. I totally understand it's not comfortable. Believe me, I've had many moments in my life where I'm like, why do I have to keep going through this? I'm sick of it. I'm sick and tired of these problems. I just want it to be nice and rosy and smooth all the time. And once again, logically, we know that problems are normal and problems are just part of life. But our ego never wants it to be. Our ego always wants things to just be rosy all the time. That's what it's looking for. It's always looking to try and find solutions so that we just have this rosy life for the rest of our lives. It doesn't happen. There are always going to be problems. There are always going to be challenges in your life. And that just goes without saying. There is no way you're going to go through your life without some challenges from time to time. So why is this important? Because if we're always constantly searching and trying to create this incredible thing all the time, 24/7, and be happy all the time, and be at peace all the time, then often we're just delusional. We don't recognize that problems are part of life. They help us to get better. They help us to improve. They help us to take our lives to a new level. And, you know, my healer and mentor has always told me for years, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable, which means that when you are in some of those uncomfortable emotions, you have to make peace with it. You have to acknowledge it as part of life. It's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. Now, how this relates to your marriage is that there are going to be moments where you feel crap. There are going to be moments where you feel that pain, where it's going to be uncomfortable on so many levels. But the challenge is, and the problem is that I think that a lot of people face, is that when they get to those places, they feel they need to do something right now and change it all quickly, rather than reacting from a place of, you know what, I'm actually going to make peace with this. And why this is important is because once you make peace with your own emotional state, it allows you to be grounded, to be centered, to find peace internally, believe it or not. So in other words, when you are accepting of the fact that you feel uncomfortable, you can actually transcend those feelings of being uncomfortable and find a greater level of peace. And then from that place, from that grounded position, what happens? You can then address your circumstances in the most powerful way. But what happens for most people, and like I say, this is a normal reaction, everyone does it, is that they're emotional, or they're feeling uncomfortable, or they're feeling angry or resentful or whatever it is, and they react from that place. So they get angry, they get pissed off at the other person, they start getting, you know, into some really heavy arguments or some real fights of some level. I don't necessarily mean physically, but more mentally and emotionally. We start getting into those sort of arguments. And when we're in that place, we're never going to be productive in terms of our conversations and our communication. It just simply won't happen. So that's why the first step that I always believe in taking on this journey is to say, how can we learn to start becoming comfortable being uncomfortable? As you find peace with that, your whole world is simply going to change, because your relationship with your negativity and the uncomfortable emotions is going to change. And once you get to a place of acceptance and peace with it, you're going to rise above it and everything's going to shift. And the second point I wanted to raise about how to shift your marriage and ultimately shift your world is to stop buying into the online world. Now, this might sound a little bit crazy because you're sitting there watching a YouTube video of me right now, so you're probably thinking, what on earth is he talking about? However, this is a really important point as well. Everywhere I look, all I am seeing is constant stuff about toxic masculinity, anxious attachment styles, narcissism, all of these different ideas and theories and concepts and all that sort of stuff. Now, relationships have been around since the beginning of time. For centuries, we've had relationships. And so it's really fascinating how every year there's some buzzword, there's something that's taking the world by storm, and it's almost like they're creating these new ideas that no one's ever heard about. And the truth of the matter is that all of these things are there to basically get you into a place of what I call victim consciousness. Now, yes, I know this is going to be a little bit hard to hear sometimes, and I appreciate that, but remember, and I've said this all along with my videos, I always come from my heart with anything that I produce here, because I'm here to serve you, and I'm always coming from a place of love of how can I free you from your pain. And it's really interesting because no matter what you look for online, the algorithms are set up in such a way that you're going to continue to be fed all of that stuff. So if I start looking for narcissism, guess what I'm going to find everywhere? YouTube videos are going to be about narcissism. I go on Facebook, it's going to be on narcissism. I go into Instagram, it's going to be on narcissism. If I want to find, things about puppies, I'm going to see puppies everywhere. Whatever it is that you put your energy into and you start searching online, it's going to find you. Why that's important is because if you are playing in that realm of, thinking about or searching online about toxic masculinity or say narcissistic types of behavior or whatever it may be, what's going to happen is your energy is going to go towards always focusing on those things because the algorithms are going to keep searching those things and bringing them to your attention on a regular basis. And what happens is your environment, the things that you surround yourself with on a regular basis is going to be based around those things that you're searching. And then what's going to happen is because that's going to be in the forefront of your mind, that's what you're going to see all the time. And then when you're seeing that all the time, you're going to see that in your husband. You're going to find that in people that you know. It's going to be around you all the time. There is a reason why 95% of the people that speak to me initially think that their husbands are narcissists, because it's everywhere. That term is around everywhere. So everyone's searching for it, everyone's looking for it, and then they're just going to be totally indoctrinated with that idea. But the reality is that we all have narcissistic traits. We all have parts of ourselves that are going to be, posting online or thinking about ourselves or sometimes not having empathy or whatever it is. We all live somewhere on that spectrum. Doesn't make us a narcissist. Doesn't mean that your husband's an actual narcissist. And, when we think about all of our past and all of our challenges that we've had to deal with, when we're constantly focusing on all those things and then, the information that's presented to us all the time is based around those things, it's going to affect us. What I believe is having a blank slate. What I mean is in Buddhism, and I'm not here to talk about any religion per se, but there is a lovely teaching with Buddhism. They talk about a Zen mind, empty rice bowl mind, which essentially means that we have this bowl that's empty. That's our brain. That's how we came into this world. And each grain of rice then contributes to the sense of identity of who we believe we are. So ultimately what we're trying to do here is get back to that empty rice bowl mind. To treat it as a blank slate, to find love, to find peace, to find joy, to allow that to be your primary experience, your center of gravity. Because otherwise, all of these things are going to impact you, and in the way you're going to perceive your husband, the way you're going to perceive your experience is going to be that of a really, really negative one. Now, am I saying that there's no such thing as a narcissist or no such thing as, past trauma or anything like that? Of course not. All of these things are real. However, if we're consumed by it regularly, it is going to take over our psychology, and it's going to mean that we're not productive and we're not going to be able to create the shifts that we need to in terms of our own lives. And like I say, my heart goes out to you if you've had to go through past trauma or childhood challenges or having to deal with a narcissist, all of that stuff. But there's one thing I know for sure, is that to create a shift in our circumstances, we have to create a shift internally within ourselves, and that is absolutely something that's within your control. However, if we let our circumstances dictate how we feel, then we're screwed. Then we're always going to be in a situation where other things will affect us. And I want to free you from that. It's not a nice place to be, and I've been there a million times, which is why I'm so passionate about all this stuff. You know, I see it all the time. I've experienced so much pain. You know, I'll shoot a video one day where I talk about all the challenges that I've had. It's so tough to deal with, and I've had those moments where you get into those deep dark holes and your brain is just on fire with all of the negativity, and then you start going online, you see more of it, and it just drags you down. Don't let the external world and the online world drag you down. It doesn't matter what they say about narcissism or toxic masculinity or whatever it is. That stuff's irrelevant. And the reason it's irrelevant is because all that is relevant is your world and your experience. And by shifting you and raising yourself and raising your vibration and really lifting yourself up to a higher level of consciousness, you can start making the shifts that you need to. If you were using these sorts of words as well, it only intensifies the emotion and locks it into our subconscious. And if it's locked into our subconscious, then it becomes who we are. And it's like we then create this narrative in our mind that all of these things that have happened have been as a result of this and this and this. And whilst, like I say, those behaviors have absolutely occurred, I'm not challenging you on that at all. What I am challenging you on is to look at it from a different angle, to see it from a different perspective, to empower yourself so you can make the right decision for your future. Does that make sense? It's all I'm trying to do here is to free you from that pain. And the third point I wanted to make regarding your situation is to remember to drop your history so that tomorrow is a mystery. Write that down for a second. Drop your history so that tomorrow is a mystery. Now, that's quite spooky for a lot of people because we don't like uncertainty as human beings. We don't like not knowing. But the reason why this is a very, very powerful statement is because for most of us, what we do is that we think all of our past experiences and all of the trauma and all of the pain that's been locked into us then will mean that we can't create a future that we want. That, our future's just, it's done. There's nothing we can do because we've had all this pain in the past and then our future is basically screwed. Or we often feel that because of the pain and so forth that we've had over the years, it makes it so much harder for us to be able to take action or, find that happiness or find that joy. But here's the thing, we've seen so many people throughout centuries, individuals who have had to go through hell and back and have found a way to find joy, find peace, to make a difference in the world, to create the shifts that a lot of us want to have. How is that possible? How do people do that? How is it that they've been able to create that shift? Is that just something that's special inside of them? Not at all. We all have God-like essence inside of us, all of us. And it's about tapping into that. And why it's good to have tomorrow being a mystery is it means that you're dropping your past and you're creating a blank slate for the future. And in the moment as well. That's the magic of this. See, if we've taken the past, we're like, oh, well, everything screws up for me always, so whatever, I don't care, like the future's, I'm screwed anyway. You're already setting yourself up for a fall. But if you can say, you know what, that was my experiences, but you know what, I'm going to use all of those, I'm going to use all of that experience, and I'm going to be grateful for it, and I'm going to also recognize that I don't need to focus on that anymore. I can take the good from it. I can really build my energy up and build my heart up and build my love for it and gratitude for it. And then I drop it. And then tomorrow, you know what? I'm going to open myself up to all possibilities because who knows what can happen. But that's a beautiful thing. Why? Because if I'm always focused on my past experiences and All I think about is, let's say you want to be an actress, right? We often have in our head a bit of an idea of how we think that journey is going to unfold based on either past experiences or what we've learned in the past. But the truth is, we have no idea how this could happen. And the beauty of not knowing how the future is going to unfold is that you open yourself up to all possibilities. Rather than saying, all right, well, it has to be this way, I need to get this talent scout, I need to get this manager, I need to make sure that this person's organizing this and organizing that, and I get the right auditions for this type of film because that's what they want. We don't know. Now you might be thinking, what's this got to do with my marriage? It has everything to do with your marriage, because rather than being fixed in your mind about how everything's got to unfold and how your future's going to unfold, you can open yourself up completely. And there's one mindset that I find that my clients have gotten to if they've ended up saving their marriage, and that is, if this works out, fantastic. If it doesn't, I know that I'm going to be okay. So in other words, they have opened themselves up to all possibilities, and they've developed an internal belief, an internal faith that is so strong, that is so, full of energy on the inside, where they know that no matter what life throws them, they can handle it. They've got the answer. And that's what's so special. That's what you're capable of as well. So remember to drop your history so that tomorrow is a mystery and all of your life will completely change. It'll be such a beautiful experience. There are going to be some challenges because that's life. Remember, we've got to stay comfortable being uncomfortable sometimes. But the magic will unfold for you. You will have an extraordinary life when you allow yourself to do that. And finally, but probably most importantly, I want you to know that you are enough just as you are. See, a lot of the times in relationships, what I find is that the people that go through a lot of challenges in their relationships, it's often when they are quite wounded and they've got a lot of deep-rooted beliefs of not feeling good enough, feeling inadequate, feeling unworthy of love, and so on. And it is such a lie. Everyone on this planet is worthy of love. Everyone has the capacity within them to just feel incredible inside of them. And that's not just some fancy stuff, and I apologize for my dog jingling away there, but the truth is that every single person is enough as they are, and you've got to own that. And the reason why this is important is that if you don't own that, then what happens is your husband will always have power over you. He will take control, and you'll always be trying to play catch up. But also within relationships, people don't want to be in relationships with individuals where they're constantly feeling like they need to lift them up all the time. It becomes draining after some time. And that's not a criticism towards you. That's also just part of the realities of how relationships function. No one wants to be in that situation. As human beings, we all want to feel special. We all want to feel unique. And so if we constantly have to drag that person up, it means that we're using our own life energy and vital sort of energy internally to constantly pull that person up all the time. And the issue is it's almost like a bucket with a hole in it. If you don't feel like you're enough and not good enough, no matter what your husband can do for you, it's almost like it fills up and it keeps emptying out. It fills up, it keeps emptying out, fills up, it empties out. And the other thing is, it just completely will drain you and you'll feel disconnected from who you are. You'll often feel, and one of the things I hear a lot is, from people I speak to on the phone every day is, I don't know who I am anymore. I feel like I've lost myself. And they've lost themselves because they're constantly feeling like they're not good enough and having to play catch up and constantly needing external validation to then feel like they're enough as they are. But it's never going to be enough. The only way we find self-esteem and self-confidence is by virtue of the shifts that we make internally, not from things externally. Getting things, doing things externally, achieving, etc. isn't enough. There will always be a void inside. And that's why you see lots of people who have achieved heaps and are still depressed, or sometimes even suicidal, because they're in a dark place, because they still don't feel like they're enough, and they think that those external things are going to shift everything. Your marriage is never going to make you completely fulfilled unless you start to feel that on the inside. So my invitation to you now is this. If you're at a place where you're feeling stuck, you're feeling hurt, you're feeling inadequate, that's a really good place to be because you're aware of it. That's a wonderful thing. I always say, if you can become aware of your problems, you can then start to shift your problems. So you're in a great place here, actually. A, that you're looking for it. B, that you're actually aware of it. And now you need to take some action around it. And this is why I do what I do, so I can help individuals to be able to create the shifts that they're looking for on the inside, to create that transformation on the inside. And I do that through my program, The Authentic Relationship System, which is an incredible program that really can help you to create the shifts that you're looking for and then really ultimately maximize your chances of saving your marriage. We want to give you every chance possible to do that. But at the same time, I don't want you to stay stuck in a marriage that's destructive for you. But it takes time and it takes work to get to a place where you can potentially let go of that kind of marriage. And I know that's a scary thought. My question again is, would you rather deal with short-term pain and long-term pleasure, or short-term pain and then long-term pain? It's just not worth it. And I say short-term pain rather than short-term pleasure because the truth is that no matter what you're dealing with now, even though it gives you a sense of comfort because it's something that you know, it's still painful. And if it wasn't painful, you wouldn't be watching this video. So it's not worth it, my friends. I know it's such a hard thing that you're going through. Believe me, I feel it so deeply. You know, it crushes me when I hear about some of this stuff and some of the stories that, you know, my clients are having to go through. It's really, really, it's unfortunate. It's so sad, and it breaks my heart when I hear some of these stories. But I promise you that there is a path out of it. There is a way out of it. You have the ability within you. And if it's something that you know, if you resonate with my material, if you want to get some help, if you're looking to really take your life to a whole different level, not just in your marriage, but in all levels of life, then, you know, I'd love to be of service to you through my program, The Authentic Relationship System. It's an amazing program. I know you're going to absolutely love it. It is application only, so I'm very picky about who I bring onto the program as well. So, you know, if you feel like it's a good fit for you, then it'd be my absolute honor and privilege to be able to serve you and firstly just have a chat with you and just learn a bit more about your situation. So you can click on that link below which says book a call with me. Click on that link, choose a time that works for you. I'll contact you personally, get to know a little bit about you and where you're at and where you want to get to, all of that good stuff, and then I can help to sort of determine whether this is going to be a right fit for you. If it's not, no worries at all. I'll make sure I give you a couple of tips and tricks to help you to move forward. If it is, fantastic. And we can help you to join and really be part of an incredible community of women who have been creating incredible shifts on a daily basis. And I know you can do the same as well. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you've liked it, make sure you hit that like button below. If you want to get more videos like it, hit that subscribe button. And do let me know what your biggest takeaway is from this video as well. I always love hearing your comments and questions. It means the world to me. So make sure you write them below and I'll respond to every single one of you. And if you want to learn whether no contact is the right approach for you in your marriage, click this video above. If you want to learn how to stop emasculating your man, click this video above. Thank you so much. God bless, and I'll talk to you in the next video.